Good morning. My name is Vincent, Fairport, New York, USA. Today I am to review a very serious word unto the United States of America people, and at the time it runs very short for them to avert the next phase of the second level war that's been prophesied to return unto the United States of America. Over the last few days on Facebook, I've placed many different apologetic writings on responsibility of citizens to, for example, treason against the United States of America, what it means, leveling war against them, or adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort, what the responsibility was for citizens. And having said that, I fulfilled my legal responsibility to bring it to the governors of approximately 15 or 20 different states of the United States of America, and also by publicly posting it on Facebook, addressed to the governors. I have also fulfilled my legal responsibility in various documentations of alleged facts. I have posted a Muslim Brotherhood report dated 2013 and in December of 2013 on how, right where the two stars are, Muslim Brotherhood supporting Barack Hussein Obama, and he's known only as a foreign-born Barry Sortello. So those are some of the documentations I posted. Also, I had posted and commented on the concept of judge serves up brutal justice to Obama's Department of Justice lawyers after they lied to his face. That what they were doing was extremely serious. The Department of Justice was infiltrated with hundreds of unethical lawyers doing the bidding of Obama. And if this one Department of Justice is infiltrated with Obama's henchmen, how many other agencies of the United States at the federal level are also doing the henchmen, the bidding of Obama? The FBI, the Secret Service, how many other organizations are also infected with this poison? So, like I said, I fulfilled my legal and moral responsibility on May 22nd unto the governors and Attorney General of Texas and other states and Attorney Generals of every state or sovereign state of the USA. And I put forth 5 different levels of documentation where quoting the Muslim Brotherhood report, things like that, the conspiracies behind alleged conspiracies behind closed doors, how these have manifested themselves in recent days or years under Obama's reign, and even some Supreme Judicial rulings saying Obama is liable for impeachment because he unconstitutionally implemented his immigration decrees. All of these things are in that thing that I just submitted unto the governors of the states, because it is now them to judge and have their experts examine the data, and if they find the data credible, if the video, by his own words, is not a total fiction, it wasn't photoshopped in, his voice, his sound, if it's not that, but it's a legitimate, by your own words, then they're under legal and moral obligation to act and to act swiftly before the 7 to 10 days that I suggested they act expires. Recently, yesterday, I also posted confronting the popular believed deception that Obama was first black president of the United States of America. And you need to understand that I lay forth evidence of 3 or 4 or 5 different credible witnesses. One of them was an expert testimony of a Peter J. Custer with a master's and doctorate degree in psychology. And his book is titled Barry Barack Hussein Sortello Obama, Identity and Racial Hypocrisy in America, Double Standards, Double Speak, and Double Blinds. Copyright 2012. If people say, it's a fiction book, I can supply a copy that I bought it on Amazon.com and show you that it's an actual book that I bought on Amazon.com. But some in gist, he said that Barry Barack Hussein Sortello Obama was quite adept at portraying himself as either black, white, biracial on rare occasions, whenever he wants to, primarily for personal gain and manipulating the audience. And the whole thing is to appeal to the American vote so that, hey, we're going to gleefully vote in this Arab Muslim person who was supported by billionaire Arab Muslims. Okay? It was a master trick. And I quote from that book, quote unquote, Barack tried to frame his election as not about race, but in fact it was mostly about race. Okay? And this was quoted from the book, Roman numeral page 14. So Barack tried to frame his election as not about race, but in fact it was mostly about race. Many blacks saw the election as a way to get one of their own into power, as shown by their 96% vote for Barack Obama. Many whites saw it as the way to be on, quote unquote, the right side of history and to prove how righteous and progressive they were. End of quotes. And the whole thing was he actually the first black American president? Well, the facts of history show that there were at least 6 other American presidents who had black ancestry of a small or large amount. So the fact that the press, the popular press, purposely hid that fact and deceived the public, you people were deceived. You gleefully voted him into office, and now 7+ years later, you're screaming and yelling how much oppression he's put on us. Well, you caused it by yourself. Writings showing that he was largely Arab American, some 93%, and only 6.25% African or Negro or black, those writings were suppressed by the popular press. They were squelched. That's nonsense. That were the typical tactics. And so people just didn't know. But again, that paper exposes that deception that was mass induced upon the American public, so that you willingly voted to allow the first Arab American president into office, one who was allegedly supported by billionaire Arabs, okay? One who allegedly bowed down to an Arab person in Egypt, pledging allegiance to Muslim, pledging allegiance that his intent was to bring 100 million Muslims into the U.S. before the end of his term. So now I'm going to go into the most serious work. That's a background. Okay, that's a background. 8 minutes of background. Now I'm going to go into today's teaching, which I just put on the internet. And it's going to put all these little pieces together so that people who had some of these pieces of understanding before, now is going to be very clear, hopefully, to anyone who has a moderate command of English. And so the title of this could be many titles, but what I actually posted was, yet, after the foreign Muslim billionaires' master plan is fully achieved, I have little doubt that tens of millions of LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender persons and organizations will also be placed into internment camps to be killed by the tens of millions. So the original title was, this time around I fear it will be God-fearing Christians and churches versus the Jews in World War II Europe. And also tens of millions of LGBT persons and organizations will be placed into federal internment camps, led to the slaughter by the hundreds of millions. So I'm going to say, when the second level of flurry of active war around the May war pole is finally divinely loosed against Sodom and Gomorrah states of the United States of America, still giving blind allegiance to 60 plus years of sexual immorality run rampant, sexual licentiousness legalized, then rest assured, after 10 plus years of a very porous southern border, that this next wave of divinely loosed attacks can take many forms. You know, there's an article in the paper, you know, a wave of bomb threats hits the schools was just in, and this was computer driven or something, and you know, and I asked the question, rhetorical question, was this simply a final dress rehearsal? You know, I can only speculate, but it does make sense. You got to understand that the 9/11 attacks had various clues that the federal Watchmen on the Wall organizations totally ignored or dismissed as sheer fantasy or delusion. Yet in historical hindsight, virtually every nuance of war judgments that I warned about for years or decades, after the fact examination of historical facts and interpretation of said events, as I interpret them and explain them, reveal that not one of my prophetic warnings have fallen to the ground unfulfilled. So, regarding this alleged secretive, behind closed door pledge to a foreign power, that is, to the foreign minister of Egyptian Hamad Abu Raik, in a private meeting in January 2010, which was shortly after Obama entered office, that he is a Muslim, that Obama is a Muslim and a son of a Muslim, and read between the lines to allow open and unprotected borders access to the USA, but was actually quoted in the Muslim report was he intent to bring a mere 100 million of his Muslim brothers into the U.S. by the time he leaves office, which at this point in time is scheduled to be January 20th, 2017, barring some unforeseen usurping of constitutional authority where Obama continues a third term or continues a dictator. So that concept of, you know, here a foreign power pledge, I presented the information to the governors of the states a few days ago, gave them the documentation. It's up for them to judge the validity. It's not up to the LGBT propagandists. It's not up to the corrupt federal government to access or deny, oh, that's ridiculous, that's nonsense. It's up to the states and their investigating bodies to assert whether the evidence has a lot of merit and whether they will immediately launch impeachment against Obama within the next 7 days or so. I say at this critical point in world history, I'm not sure how many of the 100 million of enemy soldiers, immigrants, depending upon your point of view, Barry, Barack, Hussein, Soetoro, Obama, vowed unto foreign or Arab minister to bring in during his terms as president, has successfully entered and adapted into everyday life. But there were two newspaper reports that shed light on this what I call the phase one of his master plan. One of them was talked about Obama moves to give legal status to 5 million illegal immigrants. Another one was dated 2/14/11/21. Everything you need to know about Obama's executive amnesty plan. You know, catch and release. You catch them, you release them. You let them go back into and give them another chance to infiltrate into the country. And I must commend Barry, Barack Hussein, Soetoro, Obama for his diligence, for his well-planned 7+ years of his master plan of phase one. You know, by signing into various executive decrees, executive orders, with the express purpose to throw the USA economy into a severe tailspin, interrupting normal basic services like banking and food purchases. I mean, it's common sense. If you want to aid and abet your enemy, you would throw the economy, the normal functioning economy, into a tailspin purposely so you could aid and abet millions of enemy soldiers, Muslims, that have successfully been imported under the deceptive cloak of being merely immigrants, or who have entered in through the very porous southern borders of Mexico under federal mandates simply to catch and release tens of thousands who were caught. And the question is, if over the last 7+ years, if tens of thousands of these foreigners were caught and released to try again to successfully re-enter the porous borders, then how many millions of these Muslims, enemy soldiers, actually made it to the USA? You know, if you caught 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, how many millions actually made it? I don't know. I say during World War II, after the Pearl Harbor attacks, how many hundreds of thousands of Japanese American citizens had to be rounded up into internment camps. Now you got to understand, those internment camps were rather benign. I mean, they didn't lead them off to death chambers like Nazi Germany did. They just secluded them, took away their personal property, seized their homes, had to sell them at cut rate prices, put them in these camps, had minimal lifestyles until the war was over. That was rather benign. A rather much more sinister or evil type is what actually Hitler did in World War II. He secretly took away his opponents, those who were vocal or had a different religious belief that he was propounding, led them away secretly to internment camps, and ultimately, gassed millions across Europe. So I believe that phase 2 of Barack Hussein Sortello Obama master plan, the plan concocted with billionaire Arab Muslim donors and supporters, I believe that this second phase, this time, now you have an Arab Muslim collaborator at the helm of the U.S. federal government. And you have a huge, corrupt Federal Department of Justice command. And how many other departments within the federal bureaucracy are also corrupted that Obama has command of? So using these corrupted federal governments, it's easy. You got an openly Arab Muslim collaborator to command the federal level of government. It will be these people who order just who will be rounded up and placed into internment camps during this phase 2. This time, I fear, it will be the God-fearing Christians and churches who are openly opposing Obama's licentiousness decrees and dictates as Sultan of America, as Dictator of America, as Pharaoh of America, whatever terminology you want to use. I believe those who are resisting, standing up, if they don't act very soon and impeach them, then it is you who are going to be placed into federal internment camps, led to the slaughter by the tens of millions. Wake up, people. Wake up. In the next 7 days, you may find it too late. Afterwards. Whereby full fulfillment of Barack Hussein Sortello Obama pledged to a foreign power to bring in a mere 100 million Muslim brothers into the U.S. will be finally achieved. Once this war has happened, once the U.S. economy is brought to its knees, once dictator Obama opens the door to the balance of the 100 million Muslims, I said, hey, my wildest dreams, I could have never have thought up 10 or 15 years ago a succession of events cleverly manipulated by foreign Muslim billionaires to mass deceive and trick tens of millions of Americans to gleefully vote 7+ years ago one of their own Muslim Arab brethren into the USA presidency. I could have never have dreamed up such a plan. I'm not smart enough. So that their master plan on how to subdue and conquer the United States could be fully achieved. What easier way it is to conquer a nation? You don't want to, nuke all their cities because the land becomes uninhabitable. But if you can do it with minimal nuclear bomb radiation damage to the internal structure of the U.S., and you can kill tens or hundreds of millions of Christians and import 100 million Arab Muslims, you've effectively conquered them in a few months or years perhaps. In hindsight, I say even all Adolf Hitler and his devious SS henchmen working over a period of less than a decade, even these evil people could have never have devised and implemented over a period of like 2 decades such a horrendously evil master plan. Remember a few days ago I did a Bible teaching on inventors of evil things? How the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender movement has various qualities of Romans 1. There were various qualities, debaters and proud and all these. And I concentrated on one quality, inventors of evil things. You want these sex change operations, your modern day Frankensteins, take a penis off a dead body and put it on a person, and now you can have something you covet for. You can be male now. These are inventors of evil things. And this group of people were actually a near perfect fit match for an ally, a political ally, a propaganda machine to quench the righteous voices, to quench those who might expose this master plan. Oh, that's nonsense, Scopes. Oh, that rumor is nonsense. Oh, this other rumor is nonsense. Oh, this other rumor is nonsense. These were a near perfect fit match for the Arab foreign Muslim billionaires to align with and aid in their horrendously evil master plan of conquest and subjugation of the United States of America. O ye of so little true spiritual understanding, don't you understand that yet after these foreign Muslim billionaires' master plan is fully achieved, I have very little doubt that tens of millions of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender persons and their organizations will also be placed in internment camps and killed by the tens of millions. God-fearing people such as Muslims won't put up with it. They'll lead you into they'll chop your head off just like they're happy to chop off Christians' heads. That's it. You've been warned, people. Rise up. The heads of your fallen brethren will be on your heads. Goodbye.